Don't be, it happens to all of us.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Rock Valley College Board meeting for Committee of the Whole. Wait a minute, let me make sure I have this right. For just, oh, okay. Maybe, yeah, I've got the microphone in my mouth almost. So, okay, good evening again, and welcome to the Rock Valley College Committee of the Whole meeting. We're in District 511, and it's 5:15, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. May I have the roll call, please?
Gorski. Here. Kudia.
Here.
Kennedy here. Simpson.
Here.
Soltow.
Here.
We have enough for a quorum.
All right, and I'd like to make a motion to allow Trustee Robert Trojan to attend tonight's meeting by means other than physical presence. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Gorski.
Yes.
Kudia.
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Simpson.
Yes.
Soltow.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Trustee Trojan, are you able to hear us now?
I can hear you now, yes.
All right, thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. So do we have any communications and petitions?
No communications or petitions.
Okay, any recognition of visitors?
Everybody will be recognized in a few minutes.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, that sounds ominous.
All right, so next item is a review of the minutes. Did everybody get a chance to look at them? I guess so. Okay, next item is item G, general presentation, and the first one is the Downtown West bid package number 5. And we will be presenting, oh, Mr. Jenks, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Is this working? Yeah, okay. Thank you and good evening, board members. I come to you tonight to talk to you about the downtown campus and give you an update. We are on schedule for the project. We will obviously be working towards that August 2026 date to complete the project. So we're still doing good there. This is just a reminder of some of the programs that will be down there. I'm sure we're all pretty familiar with those, so I'll move on. This is a picture of the overall campus that we're looking to accomplish. And
Mr. Jenks, excuse me just a moment, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you refresh my memory as to what a collaboration space is aside from the community room?
a collaboration space?
Yes, I think I saw that on the list. Right under community/event space, collaboration space.
I believe that is the flex space that is going to be used. It's a room that allows for flexibility in teaching. It's not my area of expertise, but it's I don't know if Amanda could speak better to it or not, but it's a space that allows, for example, the police science, if they wanted to set up a mock room to do evidence collection, or if they wanted to do some other setup, or if another teacher wanted to set something up that was unique for the class experience.
Sort of like a special use room, right?
Sort of like the flex space at the ATC, but on a much, much smaller scale.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Was that pretty good, Amanda? That was perfect. Thank you. All right. So I want to get into the project to date and show some things that have already been accomplished for the buildings so far. First and foremost, we have abated the 3 existing buildings. That project is complete. We have turned in all of the documents. We're awaiting final approval to the State Historical Preservation Office, or SHPO, which was, if you recall, was a special process we had to go through because the buildings were considered historical. We have moved through that project. Building demolition, if you recall, we had 3 buildings that needed to be demoed. They have been demoed, and the project is actually, I know there it says 90% complete, but it is actually complete now. The storage tank has been removed and did not require any special disposal. So we lucked out on that one. We did go out for an HVAC and electrical equipment bid, just the equipment, which is complete. We bid the site work and structural steel, and we're working on schedules for that. And we had also bid a paint booth for the collision repair program, and we're working on fitting that into the schedule. The last and largest bid, bid package 5, was released and has come back from bids. This is what we'll be talking about mainly tonight, and talking about who the CMR is recommending for us to move forward with the project. The final item will be the landscaping bid. That'll be out probably later this spring or summer. We'll figure out the exact time for that at a later date. So these are all of the costs that are associated with the project prior to bid package 5. As you can see, bid package 5 was a TDB. Landscaping is still a TDB. And FF&E and technology. We're working on finalizing FF&E and technology costs, but at this point, we still have a little ways to go with that. FF&E, by the way, is furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and basically is all the stuff that goes into the building: chairs, seats, testing equipment, those type of things that go inside the building after the building's been constructed. So bid package 5 consisted of many items, and first I'm going to introduce Greg from what's your last name?
Cladar.
Thank you. God. All I could think of was Chris's last name. Greg Cladar from Ringland Johnson. He's going to explain the process that they went through for bid package 5, and then also explain the bids.
Okay.
You want me to hit the next button?
Yeah.
You got to come here.
So at bid package 5, we kind of strategically broke up the bids with the idea that if it was a significant package, we would get the response and be worth for them to have a prime contract. And then there was a general trades package, because there's often smaller subs and suppliers who probably wouldn't be able to bid the job unless it was brought part of there. So we worked through that to put together. It was 14 separate packages that we bid, which encompassed most of the envelope, the finishes, and then equipment.
Go to the next slide.
Let me see if I missed it. Yeah, so each trade back, we're recommending the lowest responsible bidder. We are recommending every low bid as it stands right now. We didn't do the vetting process. Chris, our project manager, and I sat down with each one virtually or face-to-face, and every one of the low bidders agreed that they had the scope of work complete. Yeah, the vehicle lifts was the one we struggled with. That bidder was not complete. We only had one bid on it. It was a millwright company here in Rockford, but he just missed a count. It was gross error there, and we're recommending that we rebid that project. So we're not asking for that. That was one of the 14 packages. So we're asking on 13 of the 14 packages. So here you can see the separate packages, the estimated cost of our budget, and then the actual cost that we incurred when we're bidding. It was an increase of over $3 million. We're in kind of a interesting time right now because of the way we structured the bid packages. These are all lump sum packages. So the bidders are having to look ahead into the summer of '26. And on some of their materials, they're not able to get guaranteed costs just because of the current market that we're in. And I think it's reflected in some of this. I mean, I've seen particularly steel-related items and aluminum-related items go up. I know pre-engineered metal buildings, though we don't have one of those, went up 8% last week. And if you think of how much steel we have in this project, it's not just the structural steel and aluminum. It's the siding on the outside. It's the panels and the electrical conduits. It's piping for plumbing. It's ductwork for heating. Metal studs for metal studs and drywall. I mean, it impacts almost every project, every discipline up there, certainly well over half between aluminum and steel. And we're seeing those items are certainly inflationary right now. So we are experiencing some of that, and I think the bidders were looking ahead also the same way.
All right, so if you look at the bid package 5, if we add that in there, the $27 million, that gives us a cost of approximately $51 million. As we see a summary of the costs, you can see the $51 million. We've changed the contingency price. I'd always held a $3.9 million during the design process, but we feel now that we can have a lower contingency because the items are already bid out. We do have $2.7 million available for FF&E, which again is those fixtures. We're working on coming up with final numbers for that. We have $650,000 for technology, $100,000 for estimated landscaping. That gave a grand total of $57,393,000 for the entire project. The board had originally approved $52 million. That took us over by $5 million. We do have $2 million available in grants. So if you add it all up, we're about $3,200,000 short. So the things to consider for this are we can, one, increase the budget, our projected budget. The thing to remember is we don't know. We're hoping the FF&E comes in a little lower. We're also hoping that because things have already been bid, we won't need too much of the contingency. So there's always a chance that the number will be lower. But the way things are going, you just never know. So we have to err on the side of having being cautious about the anticipated costs. So I was asked about any options that would be available. The one option that was discussed was potentially to save a fair amount of money. We could not build the Downtown Learning Center. This is just an option that I was asked to explore for the and build the Downtown Training Center. The reason that we need to build the Downtown Training Center is because we need a location for automotive and collision. The other programs could wait and could go into a building at a later date if need be. It would require some items to be done. We would have to have conversations with Iconic Energy, who we are currently renting space from for adult ed. I have secured the space through August of 2026, but I would have to have further negotiations with them in order to secure it beyond 2026. We also, like I said, we could build it at a later date. We could redesign it to reduce the costs potentially more, because obviously if we delay the build, the construction costs will go up. We've pretty much figured that out based on this project. The other thing that we have to take into consideration is if we do that, there may be some other items, and we can discuss it in greater detail. I actually have another presentation that goes into greater detail about what would we need to do and what the potential reduction in costs would be for not building the Downtown Learning Center, if that's an option that the board wants to entertain.
Questions?
Questions?
Are there any, yeah, Paul?
None of those are options for me. I want to pay for it, I mean, personally, and move forward to it. But, and I'm going to ask Ellen, I mean, where are we going to come up with that $3 million? Or let's say 4, let's round it up.
Fair.
And then I got a follow-up question.
So to answer, is it on?
Now it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So to answer your question, where I can come up with $3.5 million is I anticipate this year, fiscal year 25, coming in with excess revenues over expenses, just as we have for the past 5 years. And we will have that, plus we have not touched the contingency in the FY25 budget of $4 million. So we will have those funds after our fiscal year 25 closes to transfer to Fund 3.
And it would be any other option to increase the amount that we go out to bond for? I mean,
I can explore that option with PMA, but right now we're set to go out for those debt certificates at $52 million.
But that would be a more expensive option, correct?
Will that be more expensive?
It'd be more expensive because there's interest on it.
There's
and the like,
interest on
but- based on our borrowing capability, we'd be able to do that then.
We have room to
We
borrow
have got
additional
room.
funds.
Okay, but given that, let's say we did that, and I'm not saying that's what you would recommend necessarily, but if we did that, that would impact future projects, though, and our ability to pay for any other projects that we may have down the road as part of our larger capital and campus plan, correct?
So if the funds that Ellen is speaking of typically do transition, I guess, into some of the capital funding that I use for my projects. Not all of it, but some of it.
Some of it.
So there could be some impact on those projects at a later date, yes.
And I don't want to speak for everybody, but I guess we would like to hear not just options, but what the administration's recommendation is. But personally, we're already going down this road. You know, we've already kind of, we're talking about, we got a groundbreaking and stuff, you know, out it here. It's already higher priced than I envisioned it already, and I kind of figured it'd be higher price. The prices aren't going to go down.
No.
Okay. Punting it for down the road isn't going to help anything. Then we're going to have to spend money on leasing, you know, space, or extending agreements, which could cost us even more money in addition to the additional construction cost down the road. I say we bite the bullet and move forward with it as best we can. Based on the information you provided today. But if you come back to us, like by the next meeting, and you say, we've learned this, and our recommendation is this, just give us some time to digest that information before that meeting then. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Anybody else, comments or questions?
Can I say something?
Yes, please, Mr. Trojan.
Yes, it's unfortunate that we got a almost 10% overrun, but in looking at the options, I would personally recommend that we go forward, get the extra money, rather than split the construction into, you know, leaving the learning center for the future, because that would cost us more money for sure, given all the inflationary things going on. So, I mean, to me, that's where I would head it, is to go forward, get the extra money, and let's keep going.
All right, thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yeah,
Well,
Ms. Simpson?
how realistic is just the 3 million with the potential inflation? I mean, are we really looking at like the cost of, if the tariffs and everything happen? I know it's been a yo-yo and everything's fluid, but how much of that are we looking at? Because 25% increase would be pretty significant.
So at this point, the items that have been bid, that price is basically locked in till August of 2026, till they complete the project. So that's why contingency-wise, we feel we don't need as much, because those prices are locked in. Now, they may have increased their price because of inflationary concerns for 2026. That may or may not happen, but they had to predict out to August of 2026. So if the electrical came in at $5 million or $6 million, it'll be $5 or $6 million to complete the job, period.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Nelson, you had a question?
I have a couple questions. Sure.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
First of all, have you made your recommendation on which option you're recommending, or the administration is representing or recommending?
The recommendation for the administration is to continue forward, to put in the extra money, utilize the funding that Ellen has discussed with you already in order to move forward. Because at this point in time, anything we do in the future is going to cost us a lot more money. And it would be better to secure the costs now than to delay and build it later.
So for clarity, we would not go out for bonds again, or increase the bond, I should say, to 52+ million. We have identified the additional funding that we believe we would need for this, and so that would be the inexpensive way to still go, because you don't have the interest rates and things of that nature. So that would be our recommendation.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I-
Mr.
I'm not done.
You weren't
Okay.
done? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So you're basing your recommendation in part of what you think the...
Mr. Nelson, could you speak up? Bob can't hear you.
Yeah, he can't hear you. Bob said he couldn't hear you.
Bob, you can't hear me?
I could not hear that, no.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. You're basing your projections from what I got out of your statement on what you think the bidders bid for, and that's why we have these rather dramatic increases. Do I have that right?
I don't know what you're asking me, but if...
Well,
what
I'm asking you, what you said was the likelihood of these increased bids that we have, and the reason that we've run over is that, and you've also said, and I will write this down so I remember it, that we're locked in at these figures. Absolutely locked in. That's what you said, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And
For the bids, yes.
okay. And nothing's going to happen to that bid. They're going to finish this construction no matter what, right? Is that my understanding?
That's how it typically works in a bid, yes.
Well, I'm not asking how it typically works. I'm asking about this specific bid. Am I right or wrong? And if I'm wrong, I can,
That is the
I can
right
take it.
That's the
So-
right expectation.
A bid, the individual is locked into their price. Now, there are certain circumstances why we have a contingency where there might be a discretion between what was on the drawing and what we're going to actually build. That's why we have contingencies. So because you're a lawyer and you talk in exact terms, I'm trying to say basically it's going to be that price, although there could be a possibility for some contingency changes here or there that I would bring back to the board so that they could see it.
Okay, and how much could those contingencies be on the highest end in your estimation? 10%?
We're at about, as a percentage of construction costs, and that's usually the way we look at contingencies. The 2.2 million that's up there right now is slightly under 5%. I mean, based on my experience that we have construction drawings and bids with bonds for all the subs, if they default, the bonding company would complete the work. We're usually between 3 and 5%. So I would say we're on the higher side of that range. But it's really a risk management desire of the college, how they want to be there. So we believe that that's a reasonable amount, and I would not go higher than that. It seems reasonable based on our history.
Okay. And as I understand it, you're basing this on inflationary estimates. Do I have that right or wrong?
No, we're not basing on inflationary estimate. We're basing, this project is a lump sum bid for, except for the two items we noted, the automotive list and the landscaping. These are actual numbers. Did inflation contribute to that? We believe it did from talking to the subs and looking at the prices to the budget. But as we're at right now, we will finish this job for the numbers that are presented or less, I believe.
And as I understand it, and I don't think I'm wrong on this, the president within the week predicted recession. How would that affect this contract, if you have any idea?
If we do go into a recessionary time, the risk of overruns, which we don't really have, I don't know there'd be a lot of effect on it. I mean, people would want to work. We would find there wouldn't be a shortage of labor. It would help us keep on schedule, but we believe that the plan, the schedule, the drawings are in such position that we will finish this on time, and we will finish it for the amount that you're seeing on the, on the screen right there. And if we go into recessionary times, I don't see a positive or negative impact on this project as it stands today.
Okay. I have another question, and that has to do with and I believe I remember the history of this project, and it started out with the idea that we were going to relocate automotive and collision repair downtown. Research of some of the trustees, including me, came to the conclusion that our space downtown was not big enough for automotive and collision repair, and that there was a plan in 2026 to have Stellantis build vehicles back in Belvedere. And my understanding is that they would not be interested in shipping any of their employees all the way to Rockford, and would prefer, I am sure, if we were able to have the automotive and collision repair at our ATC center. Has the administration changed its mind on that issue?
I'm confused on the actual question.
Pretty simple.
We presented the automotive and the collision repair to be downtown. At one point in time, you were recommending that it be at the Advanced Technology Center. We didn't feel there was enough space. We would have to build out that space or build another building in that. But at the time, as a board, you agreed that the space should be downtown. Remember, we had 10, 11 different options or something, and you identified the space and the location. And based on that, originally we thought, hey, it's going to be one building. But then we split into two because of the land and the layer and the way it was, and that's how we had the downtown training center with the automotive, with the expansion of the collision repair. As far as Stellantis is concerned, we can't control or guarantee when and if and how many shifts they're going to have. Right. So we did not base everything off whether or not Stellantis was going to come on time.
As we shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable assumption.
I'm not interested in reasonable assumptions, Bob. I'm interested in, my simple question was, has the administration changed its mind and even considered relocating the automotive and collision repair to the ATC center? Because interestingly enough, one of the main sales points of moving it downtown was it would all be in one building, and it would be cheaper to build one building than two. Now we're building two buildings, and is it time to reconsider the automotive and collision repair new building and put it out at our ATC center? And it belongs there, quite frankly. But the answer to my question, if I understand what I've heard so far, is that the administration has not and would not consider that. Is that true, President Spearman?
At this point in time, we just made the recommendation that we would continue to move forward with the project as is. If as a board you came back and said that's what you wanted, then we would bring it all back and scrap it and come up with a new plan. But that's not my understanding of where we're at with the administration. So earlier you asked us for our recommendation. We said we would move forward with the project as is. that has been. And earlier, when we originally started this project, you asked regarding the automotive being at ATC. We explained why we would not put at the ATC and why we would keep it downtown. And so we stand by that decision.
Okay, that was the answer to my question. Thank you.
You have another question?
I do.
Okay.
And I do have it, what you all are recommending is that, yes, this will be an increase, but it's cheaper to try to find extra money than it is to try any more of the drastic plans. Is that correct?
Just repeat that, sir.
Yeah.
You said drastic plans?
Well,
what do you
drastic plans like moving the automotive and collision repair out to the ATC Center.
Yes.
Rent additional, or extend our contract with Iconic Energy for renting adult education, which, by the way, adult education didn't it used to be out on the corner of Springbrook and the road that goes
Bell School?
No. Adult Ed?
Delta?
That's
no.
not adult education, is it?
No.
That's the Center for Learning and
That's
Retirement.
the Center for Learning and
Right.
Retirement.
okay, all right.
CLR.
So, is Iconic Energy now the owner of the downtown?
They own the old Rockford Register Star building, which we're in.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Right.
too bad for them. Okay, that was my question.
Thank you. Mr. Gorski, do you still have your comment?
Yeah, let me see what it was. You would keep on mentioning contingencies, but I think you probably also implying change orders that, part of the construction management process is you're going to have to keep tight lid on change orders to keep a cap on pricing here, I mean, I know the bids are bids, and you're assuming the bids came in as high as they did, higher than you expected, because maybe the people responding were baking in their own contingency and inflationary plans. But we've seen with projects here, and I've seen in other units of government, change orders can whack your budget too. So we just need to make sure, and if you got anything significant like that, I just ask that it be brought before the board, before your recommendation, before it's a instant change order, unless it's something small, because we don't want escalation in the cost necessarily based on huge significant change orders. So that's just me speaking my mind right now. So thank you.
There are about 4 of us committed to watching that, so.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's 7 of us here, so thanks. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Paul. Kristen,
I'm good.
you're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else, any comments or questions? Dr. Spearman, you want to add anything else?
At this point, sounds like we have a consensus to continue to move forward, but we, at some point, will need to officially have you approve that you've increased our spend limit from 52 to the 57. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
I understand.
That's right.
because tonight, we will go over all of the purchase reports, which include all of the bids. And that'll get us to a certain point, but then we'll have to come back and ask for the contingency and ask for everything. So also FF&E and landscaping. Did it go away?
The mic went.
Hello?
The mic's going bad out there.
Speak.
Hello?
There
There
you
we go.
There.
All right. I was trying to get as close as I could, so. So we'll have to come back, obviously, FF&E, technology, those, and landscaping, we'll have to come back to the board for those also.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Trojan, did you have something?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jenks. Thank you, Craig. All righty. Next item on the agenda is the Starlight Theater update. And
I don't know why I sat down. I forgot that Chris was next. So tonight we're doing a Starlight Theater update, and I've invited Chris Brady, the director of Starlight Theaters, to come and speak to you tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. Is this the clicker?
Yeah, that's
Thank you. Appreciate that. Good evening, distinguished trustees. It is my privilege to be here. My name is Christopher Brady. I'm the artistic director at Starlight Theater here at Rock Valley College. I've been asked to give a state of Starlight, as it were, so we can get an annual understanding of some of Starlight's successes and challenges. And I know that your time is limited, so with respect to that, I'd like to get started, but also let you know that if you have any questions along the way, obviously, let me know, or at the end. I am excited to be here and excited to answer those questions, so thanks so much for letting me be here. All right, so with regards to our revenues and expenses, it's important to note that with regards to revenue, we really have three areas of revenue, and that's ticket sales, donations, and concessions. We're really going to be talking about the first two here today. When it comes to our revenues and expenses, we have seen a 2-year rolling increase of revenue at 7.5% basically, and our expenses for the same time period increased at about 4.5%. It is good to note that our expenses still do outweigh our revenue at Starlight, but the trend looks pretty good right now. When we look at our revenue, we as Starlight look at each of our shows individually. And so I'm going to go over just the past year's shows real quick, just to give you a snapshot of what that looks like, and so you can see what each show kind of brings in. So our first show of the season last year was Legally Blonde. It brought in almost $130,000 with an average audience attendance of 64%. In contrast, Guys and Dolls brought in about $90,000 with an average attendance of about 46%. The Color Purple was our third show, which brought in almost $89,000 with an average attendance of 51%. And our final show, Newsies, which was our family show, brought in a little over $113,000 with an average attendance of 60% of the house. We had a fifth show last year as well that we just added, which was our Starbright show. We added that. It's a show specifically for our young actors 10 to 18 years old. It's cool to note that this show had 5 performances as opposed to the other shows that have 10 performances. Our mainstay shows typically have 10, but the Starbright show had 5, but it still brought in about $57,000 with an average attendance house size of 83%. So it was really successful for us, even in its limited run. Our current ticket prices range from, for our season tickets, our child season ticket is $43, and our adult ticket price for a season ticket is $86. And for single tickets, it ranges from about $12 for a child to $28 for an adult. So if you do the math, you get about 4 shows for 3 shows price if you get a season ticket. And those have only changed twice since I've been here, once pretty recently when we got our new box office software, which really changed the way we do things. Oh, it totally works. I'd like to point out our attendance trends. Now, this is difficult because when we go back to COVID, everything just gets really sloppy and messed up. But we look at 23 to 24, 2023 to 2024, our attendance certainly shows growth. We are certainly have been doing so since COVID, with last season being our most attended season. In regards to our Starlight Friends are the donors who support us. We've got donors that range from 40-year donors to just last year started donating. We changed tiers on those last season, and we ended up netting 12,000 more in donations last season. So even when we changed the tiers, they stayed with us, and it's good news for our donors as well as for us because they love supporting us. We also have a camp that we do every summer now that we just started 2 summers ago, our Stars of Tomorrow camp. We had 148 kids attend that camp from 40 different area schools with 40 kids on the wait list. So it was really popular, and we plan on doing it for years to come. If you know anything about Starlight, you know we do have a staff, but we operate on volunteers and volunteerism. So we've got a lot of volunteers on stage, off stage, and under the stage who donate their time to make all the shows happen. But in addition to that, we had over 148 volunteers that put in over 4,000 hours of volunteer time for us last year, which is majorly impressive, but overly impressive when you look at the actors and off-stage help as well. They really make Starlight happen. Some highlights. Last season, we had over 350 people audition for us, which was a record at Starlight, and we were just about the same place this season, so the trend is really good for our actors. Last season, we had a Juneteenth celebration where over 880 people came to watch The Color Purple, which was super successful. And we also implemented a season strike, which was a strike is where you deconstruct all of our set pieces. And we had a season strike where all of our volunteers came and really helped us with that, which gave us a lot of man hours to really help with the load of deconstructing the sets after the season. Just to let you in on the show selection process. When it comes to selecting the seasons, it is certainly me who chooses the shows. I certainly get input from other areas, different people, and I have surveys that go out as well asking audience and actors what we would like to see. But as a general formula, I'm looking for at least one family show, since Starlight has been traditionally pretty family-oriented, at least one show where you can bring your family to. I'm looking for one, what we call a chestnut, which is an older one so that those of us over 40 years old can relate with this show a bit more personally. Last season it was Guys and Dolls, this season it's Grease. Nice. A show that is either intentionally or easily cast with diversity in mind, because we believe that the people on the stage should represent our community that comes to it, and that if you're sitting in the seats, you should be able to see yourself on the stage. We're always looking for a showstopper, just one that we know is going to sell really well. And of course, we're also looking for an actor selection so that the people who actually make the shows happen feel like they've got an investment in the shows as well. I think it's also important to note that while we have access to a lot of shows, we don't have access to all shows. There are shows like Wicked or Hamilton that just aren't available to us to do. Phantom of the Opera opened in the 70s on Broadway, and we weren't able to do it till 2007. So if that gives you an understanding of the popular big shows of the time, that's why we're not doing Hamilton here right now. And I thought I'd like to end on a real high note. Last season we brought home not just one, but 7 regional Broadway World Awards. They are definitely a popularity contest around Chicago, but it's nice to know we're so popular. We brought home 7 awards, including Best Theater for Young Audiences and Favorite Local Theater. Nice. With that, I yield my time. I don't know how that works, but
I have a quick question. What did I read in there that one of the Legally Blonde performances had to be canceled because of weather? Were the figures that significant because of that days lost?
Yes, we do lose money if we cancel shows.
Right. No, but I mean for that particular. I mean, you showed the figures for Legally Blonde. Was that significant? Does it make that big of a difference when one of the shows has to be canceled?
Depending on the situation, yes. We would lose out on revenue for that, specifically that show, because this is the first time we've ever canceled the last show of a run. Mm-hmm. So that Sunday was canceled, which means we didn't really have the opportunity for those patrons to buy into another, exchange their tickets for another Legally Blonde performance. Mm-hmm. So yes, it is significant, I would say. But I guess significant is by definition what you believe significant is, right. But at least $5,000 to $10,000.
Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. Paul, John, after. Oh. I wasn't sure who raised their hand first.
Well, I just want to say Legally Blonde was the big seller with looks like the most ticket sales in the first place, and you canceled the last show of the. So I'm glad most people who wanted to see it got to see it. So that's a good thing. So
our patrons, I mean, I'm going to go ahead and give a lot of credit to our patrons who just really like being at Starlight. A lot of those people did exchange into other shows, which we made available because of that circumstance. We've never canceled a final show before, so it was unique.
Okay, thank you. John?
I have a couple questions. When you canceled, you said some patrons exchanged tickets for shows later in the, I assume later in the rotation.
Good call.
But did you have to refund any tickets, or you?
We did, yes.
Okay.
The option typically, when we need to cancel, we ask if patrons would like to get a refund, exchange for another show, or leave the funds from their tickets with us.
As a donation or whatever?
Practically, yes.
The other question I had is in your Stars of Tomorrow summer camp. When I first read this, I thought that, it was $4,970 for one person to attend?
No.
That's not true.
No, sorry. That's the amount that we, amount of revenue we got from each camp. So if you were at the high school camp, you paid $175. If we had that price point, it would be fantastic. But no, that's the amount of revenue we received from that camp.
Okay. And what was the cost, for example, for elementary?
$175 was the
it was
cost per
across
camp.
the board.
We did have an early bird special. Yeah, this is what we called it too. I don't know. We're not the best at naming things all the time, but certainly early bird pricing. So if you to kind of sell the camp earlier, it was $168.
Okay. Well, I'm relieved because I'd have to take out a loan to send the kid for that price.
Yes, if we made that for each student, you'd be so impressed.
So,
All
well,
right.
thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else, comments or questions?
I got one.
All right. Oh, yes, Mr. Kennedy.
What is the capacity for the Starlight?
For the audience, 1,041 seats in the house. I don't know where we came with that 141. We thought that was the perfect number for the house, but I think that's what the space fits, so 1,041.
And how long have you been with the college for?
I've been with the college since 1998.
Oh, wow.
I was a student here from 98 to 2000. I was a student worker from 98 to 2003. I was a stage manager at Starlight from 2003 to 2013. I went and taught at West Middle School for 3 years, and I came back in this position after
Well,
that.
thank you very much for all you do. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I forgot
I
at
just
the end of
had a
my speech
comment.
to say the
That's
same. Thank you for all you do for Rock Valley College and for Starlight. It doesn't go unnoticed.
And I just wanted to comment too, thank you
Yes.
for all you do. You know I love it.
Yes.
Well, Chris, it's about teamwork. So thank you again for your efforts. We appreciate it so
Well,
much.
Along those lines, yes, I have a great team that makes this all happen. So if you're thinking it's me, it's not. I'm just with the clicker here. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. Next item is the teaching, learning, and communications discussion. Trustee Simpson?
Cool. Yes, I'm going to try. I lost track of what we were doing, sorry. We were chatting, sorry.
That's all
I'm
right.
just going to turn it over.
Thank you. Good evening. We'll start with the 14th day census enrollment, which is a snapshot of enrollment the 14th day after classes begin, counting all class days. This is a bit broader. Can you go back to the other one just for a second? Thank you. This is broader than what we typically see on our monthly reports. It, by ICCB definitions, includes adult education and some vocational skills courses in community or continuing professional education. So if you're trying to match apples to the monthly reports, it'll give you a headache. So, but this is a broader group, but we still have seen some substantial increases in unduplicated headcount, credit hours, and full-time equivalencies over the past 5 years, and a year-to-year increase from spring 2024 to spring 2025. So that does reflect what you've been seeing in those monthly reports. Our headcount has been growing at a greater rate than our credit hours, which seems to indicate that we have more students attending part-time than full-time. And one final point on this is that the increase is mostly related to our credit enrollment, which is the enrollment included on your monthly reports, which reflects what you've seen as well. Now I'd like to quickly look at the quick facts portion of the student profile. I won't go through this whole report, but just provide some highlights. This is a snapshot of enrollment as of our 14th day for only those students who are attending credit classes. So we have 6,269 students as of that 14th day attending credit classes at Rock Valley College. Our average age has decreased over the last 5 years. That's probably due to our increase in high school student enrollment. You may have noticed on a later page in this that 30% of our enrollment this spring is attributed to high school students. So I'm sure that's why the average age is decreasing. Our percentage of students who are women has declined slightly over the last 5 years, but still more women than men. Our minority enrollment has increased over the last 5 years, and that's reflective of our increase in Hispanic students. As you know, we've reached the tipping point that designates us as a Hispanic serving institution. So that's reflected in that increase. The first-time student enrollment, this is almost irrelevant in the spring, but just so you know, most students start as first-time in the fall, so it's not surprising that only 5% of our students enrolled this spring have never attended college before. That's not strange. Then most of our students, 66%, are enrolled part-time, which reflects the increase in more credit hours as opposed to not as much of an increase in head count. We have students who are attending part-time. And finally, most of our students, 79%, have declared what we consider to be a liberal arts and science curriculum, and 21% are in a program that is a career and technical education program. Are there any questions?
Okay, yeah, Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Go ahead. Let Bob go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
Very nice trends on that first chart, Heather.
Yes.
The increase in enrollment, that's pretty nice, considering you see some of these other colleges around the state of Illinois whose enrollment is buttering and, in fact, dropping. So kudos to everybody for that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Nelson?
Yes. One of the things I gleaned from your report was that the your average student is more part-time than full-time, and is that because of do you have reasons for that, and have you done either any polling or interior polling of our students, or is there some factor that causes that, and how does that affect the bottom line of the college?
So many of our students, based on just the needs of our students, work full-time and have other outside responsibilities, such as family obligations, especially our adult students. So that is one reason students attend part-time. I don't know if Ellen has anything to add, but we count every credit hour the same. So it's not like we charge a different tuition. Some schools will charge like a flat rate for a full-time student and then per credit hour for part-time, but we charge all our credit hours the same. So I'm not sure that it really impacts.
Heather, is it safe to say that our Pell Grant students, about 30?
Yeah, about
5%?
30%, I think, of
Pell.
our Pell recipients.
And then about 60% receive some form of financial aid?
I think that's
About 50%. Okay, so therefore, the reason why I bring that up, because many of our students pay as they go.
right.
It's safe to say.
That's right.
All right, yeah, Mr. Nelson?
And the 79-21% seems like it's the same 80-20 division that I've seen since my initial election in 2017. I am correct on that, or am I?
You are correct. We look at it a couple different ways, but either way, it comes out about the same. Sometimes we look at the student and what curriculum they're in. Sometimes we look at the credit hours sold, because they might take like an English class, even though they're CTE. But either way, it's been pretty consistent.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nelson. Anybody else? All right, thank you, Ms.
Thank
Snyder.
you.
Very good.
Thank you, Heather.
And the next item is a review of the programs expected students and faculty staff for Downtown West. Dr. Stewart and Dr. Smith.
Good afternoon, trustees. Dr. Smith and I will be talking about the Downtown West campus, in particular the Learning Center she'll handle, and I'll handle the Training Center. We'll specifically look at the labor market trends, student enrollment, and staffing for each. So I will handle the Training Center first. So the labor market trends. The CTE and workforce development programs to be housed downtown at the Training Center will include truck driver training, automotive technology, e-vehicles, and collision repair. The Automotive Advisory Committee has indicated projected job growth in the industry with annual openings of 116. The number of jobs available locally in 2024 was 1,347. Collision repair is also expected to show projected job growth according to the Collision Repair Advisory Committee, with annual openings of 14 according to the data from Lightcast. The number of jobs available locally in 2024 was 177. The projected job growth between 2024 and 2029 for truck driver training is 3.8%, which works out to an annual openings of 230. The number of jobs available locally in 2024 was 2,013. I'll now shift to student enrollment. In terms of student enrollment, RVC projects 120 students to be enrolled in the Automotive Technology program downtown. This is moderate and in keeping with the number we had at Stenstrom. Collision repair, we had 16 students in total for FY 2024, 8 during the first cohort and 8 during the second cohort that just finished in December. We project to have 24 downtown. We'll have 12 students per cohort, as we have 6 Bs, and 2 students will be held in each B. For TDT, we project to have 40 students at the downtown facility. I'll now shift to staffing. In the realm of staffing, the needs for automotive would be 3 faculty members. The current 3 faculty members that we have at the Stenstrom facility will be shifted to the downtown facility. Collision repair, the same 1 coordinator/instructor that we have will also transition to downtown. And in truck driver training, we will add 1 new additional instructor for the downtown facility. I'll now switch it over to Dr. Smith to do the training center.
All right, Mr. Gorski, you have
I have a question on his presentation. Who is or what is Lightcast program development?
Lightcast is the body that we use to get local data from. So when Heather quotes data for us, it's from Lightcast.
Okay, is that for our district or the Rockford
For the
MSA
region, right?
or
Winnebago and Boone, yeah.
Winnebago and Boone?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm just looking at the annual job openings for automotive technology, and there's like 50 jobs open right now within 20 miles of area code 61108. So I'm just kind of questioning some of the numbers, but okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. Ms. Smith? Dr. Smith?
Thank you very much for allowing me to talk about the Learning Center. As we mentioned, that the programs have been decided upon both with the community and our workforce needs. So in the Learning Center, we are looking to have the programs for human services professionals as we have looked at the local needs in our region. That has been increasing for mental health professionals, for drug counselors and of the sorts. The need for early childhood education continues. There is the continued emphasis on early childhood education by the state, and we anticipate that will continue. And we all know that our littles need quality education. And then we also know that the college really needs to focus on adult learners. And so as such, we are looking to house the adult education program and refugee and immigrant services in the downtown location as we seek to continue to provide exceptional opportunities for our adults. The enrollment, as we mentioned, opportunities exist. The Human Services Program is being revamped, and so that will be all new enrollment. That will be, I should say we're offering 1 class this semester, but besides that, it's all new enrollment that will be housed down there. Both early childhood education and criminal justice programs are being revamped and modernized to ensure that we are meeting the needs of our community. And so both of those offer opportunities for enrollment growth. The staffing for the Learning Center will reflect the unique needs of the downtown West. In an effort to meet the needs of adult learners, there will be both an academic advisor and what we're kind of calling an adult learner advisor. So we'll be having two advisors housed down there. Tutors will be on staff to provide more targeted academic supports. And then in order to ensure a safe learning environment, 2 police officers will be hired to be on site, and they will be providing service for both the training center and the learning center at all times that the college is open down there. And lastly, we continue to explore the needs at the downtown center. One thing we're talking about is we hadn't decided on the needs for the plant operations and maintenance at Downtown West, so we continue to explore what our staffing needs will be for that. So thank you very much. If there are any questions.
Thank you. Yes, anybody?
I'm sorry.
Mr. Gorski.
Could you recap what constitutes human services?
Human services is, it works towards the social services in our area.
Which would be?
Such as Rosecrans and the Mental Health Board and the several social service agencies in our area.
Additionally, we have a partner with Rockford University, NIU, UIC, School of Medicine to create our associate's degree will transfer to the 4 years to go towards a Bachelor of Science and Social Work degree, and then later they will be able to earn a master's degree. So it's a regional effort from our Human Services program to a Bachelor of Science in Social Work, and then later a Master of Science.
So it's designed as a transfer degree program to transfer
Yes.
up? Okay, very good.
Yes, it is.
Because, and I know people go into that and they wind up going and get their masters and the like, and then they start earning like $39,000 a year, and they're like, well, I should have really thought about that. So, but because I thought I heard something about drug counseling or drug services or something like that, and I wasn't sure who in the region was expanding any of their services. I know there's a great need for that type of social service around here, and I know in mental health, and I'd just like to see, what we could do to provide people in the chain for that, but you got to have the institution that's willing to take it and do the work too. So,
Absolutely.
You're absolutely right.
thank
That's
you.
where partnerships come in.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have too many. They cut them back all the time around here. Thanks very much.
Right. Mr. Nelson?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So, if I heard you correctly, you said that we would hire 2 additional police officers. Would that be to our police force that we have here?
Well, they would be part of our police force here at Rock Valley College, but they would be housed downtown at our downtown campus.
Okay, and are there plans to keep, would we have 1 or 2 officers on duty down at the Downtown West building? And I assume that we'll have classes, night classes there. Is that all? So would we have 1 at a time, or are we going to have 2 at a time, or that's up to the chief?
I defer to COO Rick Jenks.
Hello? Yeah, you are correct. It would be up to the chief, but in speaking with the chief, we will cover the daytime and the evening shifts and do that with 2 officers. And so there'd be 1 officer there at a time. There may be a potential overlap where there's 2 officers where they exchange information, but essentially it would be 1 officer there, and then if the officer needed assistance, they could get assistance from Winnebago County, which is across the street, Rockford, or from our department, as we have other officers on main campus and a sergeant.
Well, as you might expect, having had my office downtown for the last 5 years, I would hope that we would be able to get help quickly. That would be my concern.
We have great working relationships with Winnebago County, Rockford City, Park District, and we run on Rockford's frequency. So if we call for help, help will come.
Very good.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kennedy?
Can you explain to me the Refugee and Immigration Services? What do you provide?
Sure. So Refugee and Immigrant Services provides resettlement services. So they're kind of two distinct populations, but refugees are resettled in the United States from their home country, and then the government provides us with grant funding to be able to support them as they are adjusting to life in the United States and help them with employment services. So we help them find employment, make sure that they have the skills that are necessary. Citizenship and the Illinois Welcoming Center is dedicated for immigrants, and so we help them as they are applying for citizenship and preparing for the interviews in classes so that they are successful in becoming United States citizens.
Okay. So usually these individuals come to us because the federal government sends them to us?
Yeah, so for sure, the refugees, they get assigned to us, and so we don't recruit for them. For the citizenship program, we do let the community know about that. We actually serve 11 counties, and so we let the counties know, and people who are ready to apply for their citizenship after they've completed their 3 or their 5 years here in the United States are eligible to apply.
So are they considered legal immigrants?
Yes, they are considered legal immigrants that are applying for citizenship.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, anybody else? Okay, I think we're good.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
it. Good job. All right, next item on the agenda is the Finance Committee. Trustee Gorski?
I make motion we table this discussion until I win the lottery to help pay for it. Thank you very much. Ellen.
Is there a second?
Ellen, take over.
I don't know what your odds are of winning the lottery.
Well,
Yes, you do.
I do.
They're not very good.
Not very good, yeah.
All right. So this evening, first we have Purchase Report A, which is the FY25 amendments. The first item is Terracon Consultants. This is an amendment to increase by $25,000 to $75,000. And this increase is due to the greater than estimated cost for the State Historical Preservation Office, or SHPO, Level 2 documentation, and then also the underground storage tank removal observation and reporting scope for the downtown location. One thing I do want to bring up is that we do have an opportunity to take advantage of this lovely weather we've been having and do our soil inspections in advance. So we would like consensus to move forward with the soil inspections from the property that was formerly known as Joe's Transmission, where that tank was located, while the weather is conducive to get the work done. The next item I have is for ComEd to increase by $37,000 to a total of $132,000. This expense is due to rising electrical rates and higher than estimated usage of electricity at the downtown campus, or at the main campus, and the downtown campus, the buildings that were taken down, and the Advanced Technology Center. The last item on this purchase report is for Helm, an increase of $50,000 to a total of $160,000. This increase is to cover necessary maintenance services caused due to an aging infrastructure. Services have included a bathroom water valve requiring asbestos abatement, frequency drive on the air handler number 2 at the Stenstrom Student Center, and parts for 6 air-on units in the ATC, and repairs to the boiler number 3 in the boiler house, and new mixing valves for the JCSM eyewash stations. So that's just some of the additional expenses we've had this year. Are there any further?
Forward, can we, because you put something out there,
Yes.
and you didn't give anybody a chance to even to bring it. So let's pause.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, the consensus? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, where was the pause and the hand raising and so.
Yes, so it's on the board report. Of course, we can wait until the 25th and you can vote on it, but as you can see, we can't predict the weather. So we're hoping that you would be comfortable with us moving forward with this work now, and then you will still vote on it on the 25th, but we don't want to start that unless you give us consensus to do that.
And we're
Are we talking about A?
We're talking
A1?
Yes, sir, A1.
You know, you have my reluctant consensus.
Purchase report A, item A, is it?
Purchase report A, yes.
Yeah.
Terracon Consultant, yeah.
Terracon Consultants.
Yeah, I would support moving ahead at a earlier, and not before the next meeting, if you can. So take advantage of the good weather.
Thank you.
Anybody opposed?
Anybody other thoughts, comments?
Anybody else?
Okay.
Richard, you okay? That's good.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so
All right.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for the consensus.
All right. I think everybody has a thumbs up for now.
I got one question.
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Just out
Kennedy.
of the box. Solar panels. Have we ever thought about putting up solar panels at the new place to reduce carbon and all that good stuff and maybe keep down the comment costs?
Well, we thought about it at the ATC on the rooftop before, and at that time, some of the trustees didn't want us to bring that forward and didn't think it was a good idea at the time. That's the ATC. Were there any other times we considered solar panels in new construction? And you could talk about our cogen process too, which saves us a lot of money.
So for downtown, no, we did not consider that. Although there are a lot of ways to do solar that are less expensive, there are still costs associated with it. And with the situation that was downtown, any additional cost was a lot. So we didn't necessarily want to venture down that downtown. We can always add it at a later date if we choose to do that. So no, we did not consider solar for downtown. We do have initiatives like that. One of the things that we will be looking at on main campus is we have to replace some of the roofs and some things of that nature. We'll take another look at solar to see if it's practical at that point to do it with the architects and engineers for main campus. And what Dr. Spearman alluded to was our cogen. And that's something I'll be bringing up at a later date, is expanding our cogen so that we can generate our own power during peak times, and that will save us a considerable amount of money by generating our own power. So we do have things in the works, but no, solar was not considered for the downtown.
Thank you.
Paul?
How are you going to make that power? Burn the textbooks that we're not going to be selling because we're going digital or something, or what?
You mean for the cogen?
Yeah, I mean, you're saying you're generating power on campus?
Our cogen can generate power, yes.
Right.
It's natural gas fired.
Natural gas, okay. That's assuming natural gas prices stay reasonable, right?
Generally speaking, it's still cheaper to burn natural gas than it is to buy electric.
Okay, well, I'm all for a coal-fired power plant, too.
That'd be
So
good.
there you go.
All right. Anybody else? Okay.
All right, moving on to purchase report B. These are FY25 purchases. The first item is for New Growth Groups LLC for $50,000. This expense is for a third-party developmental evaluator that is required for the Strengthening Community Colleges Round 4 grant, or SCC4. The developmental evaluator will provide services including communication support with the national evaluator, documentation, and final evaluation reports and feedback.
Okay.
The next item, B, is for S&P Global Ratings for $39,710. This expense is for the bond rating fee for the 2025 debt certificates and the 2025 bonds that will be issued in order to pay for the construction and equipping of the Downtown West campus. Item C is to Your Safety Company for $61,999. This expense is for 2 augmented reality welding systems and their cases to be used by the Career and Technical Education Enrichment Program. This was bid 25-06. AR welding simulators received 2 responses that were opened on February 28th. These simulators will be used for the continued expansion of Smart Camp and will provide a safe means for 6th through 8th graders to experience hands-on exposure to welding. This is a grant expense. Item D is to Helm Service for $52,000. This expense is for the installation at the Advanced Technology Center for 4 robotic welders and 3 mechatronic robots that were approved by the board in August of 2024. The equipment all has been received and needs installation. The installation work includes ductwork, compressed air, 110 volt and 480 high voltage electrical work. Helm has been the college's unit bidder for electrical service since bid 21-08, and this unit bidder contract was for 5 years and expires in 2026. This is a grant expense as well. The last item on this purchase report is to Distinctive Roofing for $56,280. This expense is for the emergency repair of the roof of the Support Services building. The roof received extensive wind damage on January 27th of 2025 and needs repair. 3 quotes were obtained, and Distinctive Roofing was the lowest responsible vendor. Are there any questions on this purchase report?
Mr. Nelson?
On E, the one you just went over, do we have insurance on that for the repairs?
We do have insurance, but we are looking at our deductibles and debating whether or not to submit it to insurance because we have had numerous claims.
That's why we have insurance? We can always change companies.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Okay, the last report is Report C. These are all regarding the Downtown West Campus bid, 25-01-D05. All items pertain to bid for that main package at the downtown campus. So this bid contained 14 separate bids, numbered 5.01 to 5.14. Bids were released on Wednesday, January 15th, and 573 vendors were notified of the release. 38 vendors submitted responses, which were opened on February 25th, 2025. Bid package 5.10, automotive lifts, received the 1 response, and upon review, the vendor confirmed they had made an error in scope on the work and withdrew their submittal. So this report does not include a recommendation to award package 5.10, and that will be going out for rebid. All other packages included have been reviewed and vetted by Ringland Johnson Construction as the project's CMR, and all recommended awards have confirmed participation in an apprenticeship program approved by and registered with the state of Illinois and the United States Department of Labor. So item A is for the masonry. Goes to Jimmy Z's Masonry Corp. for $948,000. Item B, General Trades, Ruiz Construction Company, $3,584,000. You had a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I mean, you can fit, so it's a question on that purchase report C, item B, the general trades one. I know we have 2 bidders. I'm just wondering, we were criticized recently for some possibly grouping items into bids, which might have been better or more fiscally prudent to break out, or you might have gotten more competition on certain bids. And when you're at 3.5, 3.6, million, is this one of those bids where, I mean, what was the advantage of grouping all of this into one $3.6 million bid? What builds out the whole, what's the detail of the, carpentry and finishes? That's $3.6 million?
I will have to get clarifications from the CMR. Unfortunately, it looks like they left. But my understanding is this is for the general carpentry type items and for general construction needs like the dumpsters and things of that nature, that general construction kind of entity that's needed. If you want specifics, I can certainly get that information and send it to the entire board or to you, sir, if you want.
I would appreciate it. It to remind some board members, and unless they might have missed the meeting, we were criticized for a particular bid that seemed to be grouping a lot of different things where it might have been better bid if we let it out separately. We are actually kind of handed a letter representing one of a local contractor, and I know that I got a couple calls from a couple other contractors on it. But in this case, it looks like two contractors, responded. So I'm just wondering. I'd just like to know the details. But it looks like he, had two contractors respond. Ruiz, which is local, and Cullen, which is just across the state line, I think. So
they're in Janesville, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, Mr. Nelson.
I hope all of these bidders have complied with the responsible bidder ordinance.
Ellen said
Yes, they have.
do.
Yep.
She just said that.
All right. Item C was for metal panels, and that was awarded to American Igloo Builders for $1,911,590. Item D, roofing to H.C. Anderson Roofing for $1,238,857. Glass and glazing, Cardinal Glass Company, $2,191,000. Metal studs to the Rockwell Group, $2,770,800. Tile and terrazzo to Illinois Terrazzo and Tile Company, $204,200. Flooring to Boss Carpet One, $399,826. Food service to Bolter LLC for $145,129. Fire protection, Nelson Fire Protection for $216,062. Plumbing, Miller Engineering Company for $1,706,939. HVAC, Miller Engineering Company for $5,224,300. And electrical to Helm Electric for $6,685,700. Are there any additional questions on this purchase report?
Anybody?
I'd just like to say in the last few ones, I really appreciate that we had more than one and two, bidders come in on it. I'd like to see that competition, so thank you. There's quite a range in some of those costs, too. So,
Ms. Simpson and then Mr. Nelson.
I just have one question, and it kind of goes back to the increase with inflation and possible tariffs and things like that. If it's cheaper for them to buy the materials, will they reflect that later as well? I mean, I know it's maybe, I'm just, curious if we get like any itemized, like certain costs of materials, things like that.
It would be very difficult to pull that out of their numbers because their numbers are their numbers, and they're going to say that cost was there regardless of if they're going to save money or not on it. So I think it would be very difficult for us to try and get any of those funds back if the tariffs didn't happen, because we don't know, they don't give us individual prices for every item, and we can't cross-reference and make sure that that particular light or whatever didn't get affected by the tariffs or whatever the cost was.
Okay.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Nelson?
Kristen, I would say that that's why under the contract, if they need more money or have more expense than they thought they would, they have to come to us for a change, and we have to authorize it. The same would be true in the reverse. If somehow we discovered that costs were really lower, we would have to go to them and get them to agree to it, because that's the contract.
We do get credits. I'm actually going to be bringing credits to you the next meeting for the demolition. So we do get credits. I know people don't think we do, but we do get credits.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll give you credit, Rick. I'll give you credit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this concludes the purchase reports then, and we'll move to the cash and investment report. So the February 28th, 2025 cash and investment report, operating cash and investments decreased $4.2 million from January to $96.6 million as of February 28th, 2025. That is just due to the seasonal inflow of revenues and outflow of expenses. Working cash fund increased.
You're repeating.
I think he's watching it on YouTube.
I'm hearing myself.
Bob, are you watching that on YouTube? You might want to mute it. We can hear both. You got to mute Ellen on YouTube.
Not that we don't enjoy hearing your voice.
I told you there was a delay.
What did he say?
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, working cash fund increased $7,798 due to interest earned during the month to $2.37 million. And capital funds increased to $74,731 to slightly over $24.5 million in February, predominantly due to interest rates. Total operating cash and investments is at 92.02% of the operating budget as of February 2025. Any questions on the cash and investment report?
Mr. Nelson, go ahead.
The usual, Ellen.
We're in excellent shape.
All right, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Okay.
All right. I have a presentation regarding financial risk management and our financial contingency plan. So, if you want to go to the first slide, thank you. The financial contingency plan is the plan for Rock Valley College that helps us prepare for financial challenges and reduce risk. It includes the assessment of our financial health, creating the budget, and communicating openly. So with regards to budgeting, it helps us to prioritize spending, allocate resources to meet the college's goals. Our goal in communication is to be transparent about financial challenges and risk mitigation strategies. We do scenario analysis, and we consider how the college might respond to different financial scenarios. And of course, most importantly is cash availability to ensure that we have enough cash on hand. So Rock Valley College presents itself clearly and completely. This is evidenced through engagement in transparent and public budget process, which demonstrates both fiscal responsibility and accountability to the community we serve. Annually, we hold a public budget hearing where notice is published at least 30 days prior to the public. And the tentative budget is available for public inspection at least 30 days prior to final adaptation by the Board of Trustees, either to review in person in financial services, or it is also available on the website. A little bit about our annual budget process. We do bottom-up, zero-based budgeting. In January, we distribute over 40 budget templates to the budget managers. Of course, we rely on cross-team collaboration because finance cannot work in a vacuum. Budget managers are responsible for budgeting certain items specifically to their departments. That includes revenues and expenses. Compensation for full-time and continuous part-time employees and their associated benefits are prepared by finance. The following revenue items are prepared by finance. We focus on tuition and fees, which is based on projected credit hours, our current tuition, and our fees. State apportionments. Fiscal year apportionments are generally not approved by the state of Illinois in advance of the final budget. So we pay great attention to communication from ICCB and regarding the proposals submitted to the Governor's Office of Management and Budget, or GOMBI, as well as the Governor's proposed budget when it was released. Local property taxes, we track the equalized assessed value, or EAV, annually. We do monitor the annual change. On the next slide, once finance receives all the inputs, and we consolidate them, we do conduct a review. I conduct the review to first identify any consistencies or items that may have been overlooked. We do review for variances between this current year's budget and the prior year actuals. So when I do the fiscal year 26 budget, we'll compare it against fiscal year 24 actuals, the fiscal year 25 forecast that I'll be creating, and the FY 25 budget. If there are any questions during this review, they will be communicated and addressed. Once we declare the budget complete, I present it to the President for review, and we make any adjustments prior to bringing that tentative budget to you as the Board of Trustees. We present it for approval, and the budget hearing is then scheduled. The tentative budget is available for review in person, and again, it is posted on our website. The budget hearing is typically scheduled prior to the regular board meeting to address any questions or hear any comments from the public. Upon approval of the board budget by the Board of Trustees, the final budget is posted to the college's website. Any questions on our budget process?
Yeah, Mr. Gorski?
And we expect to vote on our budget on which meeting?
June.
The June, the
June
second?
June will be for the final budget.
Yep.
And April will be bringing the tentative.
Okay, that's good. Wait, because our budget year starts July 1st, so we're actually going to get it done in time, right?
We've been doing that pretty regularly lately.
I know, it's pretty good. I know Bob was so excited when the first time we did it. He's like, hey, it's great to have it voted on before it happened. So.
Yeah, years ago, in my early years, the budget wasn't approved until like September, already a quarter into the fiscal year. So it's only been the last 5 or 6 years, right, Ellen, that you got this thing pulled ahead of the actual fiscal start.
Yep, at least the last 4.
Yeah.
And I'll say that we are one of the few community colleges that get it approved by the end of June.
I got to commend Ellen for those last 4 years and doing that and doing an excellent job of preparing it and educating us on that. And again, I look forward again, hopefully, hopefully I'll be around for that budget process. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Mr. Kennedy?
I want to know if the tax rate or tax levy has increased over the last couple of years.
Our tax levy rate has not increased. The tax levy in total dollars has increased because of EAV increases.
So you're going to hear that a lot in the community, the difference between tax levy increases and tax rate, but you have to make sure you understand the difference, because somebody would say that we've increased when we actually haven't.
Well, the percentage, we're not increasing the percentage, it's just that your property's worth more value, so we get a little bit more because of that.
That's a great way of saying it.
Right.
Exactly.
And there is an equalization factor applied by the state.
Right.
Right.
To try to keep that at a more level pace.
Right. To keep it from going out of control, right? So.
Ellen, I do have a quick question.
Sure.
Where I think on page 9 it says Rock Valley College has received the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting by the Government Finance Officers Association for 17 consecutive years.
Yes, you're reading ahead.
I'm sorry?
You're reading ahead.
Oh. Well, I guess I just was adding to the accolades, so I appreciate that. So, thank you.
So I want to talk about institutional transparency and fiscal stewardship. We do demonstrate to our external constituents a commitment of fiscal transparency and responsibility in a variety of ways. And that includes that transparent budgeting, a strong bond rating, accountability metrics, and clean audit reports. So some of those things I do want to highlight is the college's financial stewardship has been reflected in our bond rating. and Composite Financial Index, or CFI. We have maintained a Standards & Poor S&P AA rating for the past 9 years, which reflects a very high level of safety for meeting financial commitments, accompanied by very low credit risk. And also, we have maintained the Comprehensive Financial Index ranging between 4.28 to 7.8 over the past 6 fiscal years, and that is reported to the Higher Learning Commission. Also, regarding our annual audit and annual comprehensive financial report, we have received an unmodified opinion from our independent annual audit completed by Sickage. And lastly, to Gloria's point, we have been awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting by the Government Financial Officers Association for the past 17 consecutive years. And again,
Ellen, excuse me, the second part of my question was, who and what is the Government Finance Officers Association? Is that like an elected body, or I'm not sure I know who they are.
It is an organization that oversees and encourages transparent fiscal responsibility and reporting for all government agencies. So it's not only community colleges, but it can include municipalities, libraries, all those municipal type governmental organizations. And they are a set of standards that by which we work towards to having the clear, transparent reporting and providing information so that our constituents can easily understand it.
I thought that was long.
Great, thank you. Good information.
And the last item, of course, according to the Public Community College Act, we are required to publish a financial statement annually in a newspaper of general circulation, and a copy of this is filed with the ICCB. Some of our financial risk management measures is we do provide financial reports quarterly to you, and the 10-year forecast is completed annually. Also, we have several board policies. We have the banking and investment policy, the bond record-keeping policy, our operating fund balance, and the bond disclosure compliance. The cash and investment report is provided to the board monthly, so you are able to see our cash availability. Our college investment portfolio is laddered, and over the past several years, the board has transferred excess net revenues from the operating funds 1 and 2 to restricted operating and maintenance, Fund 3, to fund future expenses for property, plant, and maintenance, and as well as to the other post-employment benefit, or OPEB liability fund. Some of the financial risk here at Rock Valley College includes the enrollment and retention. We have long heard about the demographic cliff that has been predicted since we started having fewer babies since the Great Recession around the end of 2007. So there are fewer high school graduates in the higher education pipeline. Also a concern is federal funding. Reductions in the restricted federal program grants, such as adult education, refugee services, and TRIO. Also, we want to watch for any reduction in student financial aid, which includes Pell, direct loans, and federal work study. Also, we keep an eye on the state of Illinois budgetary constraints, looking for any potential reductions in the base or equity operating grants or reduction in restricted fund grants. And as always, we watch for any decline in the property tax EAV like we experienced after the last real estate bust. Some of our strategies is we continually monitor the activities of the federal and state government. We continue to transfer funds to the OPEB fund, so any transfer of that expense will not have immediate impact to operations. We continue to transfer to restricted operations and maintenance in order to maintain our existing campus facilities and for replacement of capital equipment. And to that board policy, we continue to maintain that fund balance between 35% to 50%. Possible actions that we could take to get, if something would happen to our funding, we would need to assess what it would take to get through one fiscal year of spending by assessing which programs could no longer be operational due to enrollment and/or community needs, or if we had to, we'd have to consider a reduction in force. We do have the option to increase tuition and fees. Our tuition rate, again, is bound by the Illinois Community College Act to be equal to 1/3 of our per capita rate. So fiscal year '24 per capita rate was $610.66, which would limit our weighted tuition and fee rate to $203.55. And as a reminder, our tuition rate right now is $125. We could look at reducing capital expenditures for facility improvements, maintenance, and capital expenditure. We would have the opportunity to issue additional bonds, and we could always look at a referendum to increase the maximum tax levy rates. Our education fund, Fund 1 maximum levy rate has been at 0.23 in place since 1985. And operation and maintenance, our Fund 2 maximum levy rate of 0.04 has been in place since 1979. Are there any questions?
Yes, Mr. Nelson?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ellen, on that last point, are we close to the, or at the maximum levy rate now, since they've been in force for so long, or what?
We have been at the maximum rate for at least the past, when I looked back, about the last 20 years.
How many?
At least the last 20 years. It's been a while.
That's a while. I'd like to be 20 years younger.
So would I.
Age is just a number.
No,
All right. Is that it, Ms. Olson?
That is it. Unless there's any additional questions.
No. Anybody else? Mr. Gorski? I guess not. All right. Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody? All right. That's it. Oh, yeah. Mr. Trojan, go ahead.
Watching this live streaming on YouTube, the cameraman goes too quickly away from the script that's being shown. I mean, to try to read it, let alone comprehend it, is very little time that he's showing the script and more time showing the speaker. I'd rather reverse the time and show more of the script than the speaker.
I think the camera, I don't know if he has that option. The camera may zone in when somebody is speaking, and when there's a pause, it probably shows the screen. If I'm wrong, am I wrong? Jeremy?
Well,
I can do what he's asking, if that's what he wants. Oh, Jeremy said you can do it. He can do it.
Jeremy.
All right.
well, to make it more effective for those uninitiated watching this, more time on the screen is being shown and less time on the speaker.
Makes
All
sense. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy's going to do his magic. So, all right. Thank you.
We have a split screen.
Good job,
in Lee
Ms. Olson.
County. You see their feet.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the Operations Committee. Mr. Kennedy.
Yep, Mr. Jinks will present the operational report.
Good evening again, board members. I'll start out with the personnel report. We only have one item. It was a departure from the Human Resources Department. The individual left us on March 7th of 2025. The next item is the RVC Foundation and Downtown West Campaign fundraising agreement. This agreement is based off of all the presentations that Brittany Freiberg, our Chief Development Officer from the RVC Foundation, had been giving to the board over the last couple of meetings. This is the culmination of all those efforts, and I will note that this does include an external naming item included in the agreement for the buildings, so I wanted to make you aware of that. Do you have any questions about this agreement?
Anybody?
No.
Okay, Mr. Nelson?
Yes. What did you just say about something in the agreement? I didn't quite catch it or see it.
So bullet point number 5, I wanted to make you aware, says that they can explore and obtain with the RVC president necessary approvals for external and internal naming opportunities.
Well, we talked about that at least, and we authorized that to be done.
Yes, you were not here, I don't believe, at the last, but we did discuss it as a board. We said that we were going to put it inside this agreement. You are correct, but we just want to make sure that you are aware that it's in the agreement.
Very good.
Okay, good point. All right.
All right, if there's no questions, going on to the campus facility and events. There's a couple items that I wanted to point out. This month is Women's History Month, and we have many activities that are kicking off for the Women's History Month. One that I really like, that I like to point out, is on March 15th, and that's the Science Olympiad, a regional conference, which will be held here on campus. I highly recommend, if you have a chance to make it out here, to come out. That is an exciting event. I've worked it for years when I worked here. In addition,
You're not still working here, or what?
Well, no, I can hear myself.
Bob, we can still hear your YouTube.
That's all right. I'll just keep going. The Phi Theta Kappa induction ceremony, I'll point that out, is on March 21st, 2025, and that's in the Student Center atrium. And then there's other events. Do you have any questions about any of the events?
No, I like the lather, rinse, repeat type of approach here, where you say it and you get to hear it again. No, that's good.
I don't see the Downtown West event.
That is because it does not happen at one of our main camp. It doesn't happen at one of our facilities necessarily yet, even though that is. So it wouldn't be on
Yeah, I
here.
kind of was wondering, because I see the community column as well, so
Yeah.
I was kind of confused, but okay, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is that it then? I think so.
Thank you, Rick.
All right, good job, Mr. Kennedy. All right, is there any other business or unfinished business, Dr. Spearman?
Yes, I mean, Ellen is doing such a great job. We figured we'll have her speak one more time.
All right.
Or twice.
I just want to make sure you hear a lot of me tonight. So a couple weeks ago, we had brought up, or I had brought up, regarding some tax rebates and abatement programs, and I just wanted to give you an update. So last week, Dr. Spearman and I attended a meeting that consisted of the Region 1 Council and the Assistant Deputy Director of the DCEO for Illinois, and the other taxing districts regarding the Belvedere Stellantis plant. We have been able to confirm that Stellantis is planning on reopening the plant with at least one shift, maybe they're considering two. And tax abatements for Stellantis are still on the table, but it is all pending additional conversations, so there's nothing additional to share with you regarding that at this time. Also, in February, Trustee Trojan and I met with Andy Shaw from the Lee Ogle Enterprise Zone. It was a good conversation, and we'll be bringing you additional information regarding that in April. The last item is the City of Rockford that had asked Rock Valley College to participate in the City of Rockford Property Tax Rebate Program. The property rebate program, again, is if you are building a new residential unit in the City of Rockford, your property taxes would be rebated for 3 years. The city also waives all permit fees, all plan review fees, and water connection fees. If the housing development is already taking advantage of the city or state funding, the units would not be allowed to participate in this incentive. The property is required to be located within the limits of the City of Rockford and within the boundaries of the Rockford School District 205, and is within the boundaries of the counties of Winnebago, and located on a subdivision that was platted prior to January 1st, 2024. In 2024, there were 131 units added for a combination of single and a multifamily, with a total construction value of $71.1 million. And the City of Rockford is hoping for similar activity in 2025, but at this point, they are speculating, and there have been no applications. Just for your information, based on the construction value of $70.1 million for the operating funds 1 and 2, the tax levy would be approximately $64,000. For the entire RVC tax levy, which would include the tort, PHS, debt, the amount rebated is closer to $107,000, for which the debt levy estimated amount of $35,700 would need to come out of our operations fund in order to pay for the debt service. So we are looking for direction from this board on whether we are interested in moving forward in additional conversations regarding the City of Rockford rebate program.
I have a quick question. Didn't we have this request previously?
Yes, this is the second year of their program.
I see. Okay. Mr. Nelson?
Does the administration have any position on this? My thought is it doesn't hurt to talk, and 64,000 is not going to. That's the least of our problems, although it's over 50. So I pay attention to it.
Anybody else? Comments? Questions?
Yeah, what would be the financial cost to the college again?
So in total, we must have killed the mic today. The total would be about $107,000 per year, so that would be $321,000 over the 3-year period estimated. And then of that, I'm doing math in my head, $110,000 or so would have to come out of the operation funds over those 3 years to pay for our debt service.
Well, I have a comment. My concern is that this is Rockford, which where I live, but Rock Valley covers 6 counties. And what if another city from another county would ask the same thing? How would we handle it? So that's where I would have a concern.
I think that's a legit concern, and sort of the argument has been back and forth is Winnebago's at 100%, Boone County is based 100%, Oco is give or take 30%, and then the rest are much smaller. So if you make the sacrifice now, you'll have more for it later in EAV and things of that, and after 3 years. The question becomes, if you say yes to Winnebago or Rockford, will you say yes to the other county? And that's why we're bringing it before the board, because in the past, we haven't been big on this abatement or rebate. And so we want to make sure we're trying to get direction from you.
Sure. Okay. Mr. Gorski?
And I'll just throw back your own rebuttal, your own phrase. It's all about the partnerships. So there you go. I would be for it. So.
Mr. Nelson?
At the end, you said you'll be for it?
I'd be for it,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's a partnership type of thing, working on economic development. Because we could spend that much money on an economic development, program or something, but this is going right into helping encourage people, building homes and laying roots here, going forward to it. So, okay. And we should show up at their door and saying, you should say thank you. No, I'm just
We'll send Gloria. She's got a good personality for that. Gloria, I think all we have to decide right now is should we throw our chips in. We're calling, right? We're not raising and we're not matching anything where we have to pay for the pot. And if, for example, if there are certain cities, and I would use hypothetically as an example, if Byron came to us, Byron in Ogle County, they have tax resources and things, and I don't think they have any shortage of homes being built there or whatever. Although home building nationwide, I think home building here is obviously down, and it certainly is in the city of Rockford. Now, and the northwest side, as you know, Gloria, where we lived and grew up, is really hard hit. And I'd love to see some project where we could go in and maybe, if the price were right, and I'm not talking Rock Valley, maybe have interest some developer in a let's say 8-block area in the northwest side and bring in and maybe even make a gated community with and if you leveled all those homes and rebuilt larger homes, which which seem to be selling and people seem to want, maybe I don't know, Javon Bay would want to reinvigorate the hospital on Brockton Avenue. I don't know that, but I think this has to be a seed program, and I think one of our statutory duties is economic development, and I would be interested in knowing more about it. Mm-hmm. Certainly, I'm not like Paul, where I'm going to announce I'm for it, but I think we ought to consider it, and the same would apply to any other communities in the district where if they had a need, it might be something that we would be open to. Mm-hmm. And although things with our income are concern me, especially after coming from Washington, when we have $8.8 million in federal grants, and we have the possibility, and we have a lot of students here that are on Pell Grants, and it seems as if the president's push to eliminate the Department of Education has taken aim at some of the expenditures through there, which is where the Congress and prior presidents, both Republican and Democrat, have seen fit to house the education spending and grants to local communities. Mm-hmm. So if we were to lose even what we get, that's something really significant.
Well, those are good points, and I'm not saying no, I'm just saying it's a concern, but I do agree with you on something else, that perhaps it is an opportunity to have discussion, and but I'm just saying, let's be cautious as well.
My mind isn't made up, Gloria, and I know yours.
Well, you brought up some good points. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that we could then let the city of Rockford know that we are considering the proposal, but then we really need the official document or something so that the board could discuss and vote on it? Is that safe to say? Is that where we're at right now?
Yes, I think so.
Madam Chairman, I might also think, and of course the last time we did this, it led to disaster of sorts. But we might want to invite someone to come to make a presentation on the plan and their vision and what the chances are. And, we certainly can talk to local developers that we all know and get some indication from them if this is a worthwhile policy.
Mayor McNamara is willing to come and speak to the board if you would like to hear from him.
Well, what's their time frame? I mean, how soon do they want us? Because we have to put this in place when for us?
Do we know a time frame?
City of Rockford has already put it into place. They would just tack us on to it if we are interested in participating.
Thank you.
Ellen, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
So the City of Rockford has already approved this, that they are going to go forward with this rebate program with Rockford School District. So if we want to participate in this rebate program, they would just add us on because they don't have no new housing starts yet. I do not have a time frame from them. I assume they would like it sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I would venture to say, whatever we decide, as with anything, there's always a positive and a negative, but the bottom line is what's in it for our students. And would it hurt them? Would it help them? Or, and of course, you're the choir, so I don't have to preach that. So that would be the bottom line that I would consider. So
are you interested in having the mayor come speak?
I'm sorry?
Are you interested in having the mayor come speak to you
I don't
regarding
know.
this program?
How does
That
everybody
would be,
feel?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
All right. Any other, Mr., you're waving at me, or?
No, I'm just saying, I didn't hear Crystal or Kristen or
Or Richard?
Richard, if they have any thoughts.
No comments.
I'm good right now.
All right. Okay, is that it then? All right, well, thank you very much, appreciate it. All right, any other new business or anything else?
No new business.
Okay. I do want to say hi to Chris, who's here today from, look at that, our attorney. Thank you for being here. Okay, and if there's nothing else, do we need to go into closed session?
No. No close session.
Wow.
Yeah, hooray.
Oh, we got him here for nothing. We could have phoned that one in.
All right, so no closed session, so we don't have to reconvene. So I can just say our next regular board meeting, regular Board of Trustees meeting is March 25th, 5:15. It will be held right here in the Performing Arts Room, room 0214 in the Educational Resource Center here at the main campus. And the next committee of the whole meeting is April 8th at 5:15. The meeting will be held right here at the Performing Arts Room at 0214, room number, and it's right here in the main campus. And just so you know, April 8th is my birthday, so presents are welcome. So thank you.
Oh, really? Congratulations.
And cookies.
As long as they're under $5.
At least, okay. All right, so if there's nothing else, may I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn, Madam
Second.
Chair.
Mr. Gorski and Ms. Simpson, would you take a roll call, please?
Simpson or Solto?
Yeah.
Simpson.
Sure. They both want to leave.
Gorski,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Kudia,
Yes.
Kennedy, yes. Simpson.
Yes.
Soltow.
Yes.
Trojan.
Yes.
Yes, it's very good.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good night, drive safely.
The Sour Patch Trustee, you know, make you laugh, make you cry.